Hi, everybody. This is Robert Gephardt from ThisWeekIn.Asia. This Week in Asia brings you news and interviews with entrepreneurs and upstarts from all around Asia. Today, I'm speaking with Darius Cheung. Darius Cheung is the founder of 99Co, which is a property listing site based out of Singapore. Thanks for joining me, Darius.
Thanks, Robert.
I was wondering if to start out, you could just briefly introduce 99.co.
Sure. 99.co is the simplest and most reliable way to find a rental apartment in Singapore, and we are building out other segments as well.
Perfect. And how did this idea come about?
Like many ideas I worked on, I think it was a personal problem. About a year ago, I was looking for apartments for rent in Singapore, and I found that the current property portals just are very unreliable because the listings tend to be advertisements that property agents basically pay to put right on top, and there's really no qualifications in terms of what's a good listing and what's a bad listings, and there were a lot of fake and duplicate listings as well, and these listings continue to exist because there's no vetting process and no qualification process, and I thought that was a very painful process to have to go through hundreds and hundreds of listings to find one or two good ones. And which is why we wanted to build a new portal that has an interface that's very easy to search, that's map-based, and also a process to be able to qualify listings.
Okay. So what would you say that 99.co, what problem does it solve then?
So long story short, essentially we help users get from what they want, what they're looking for, to the results in terms of what are some of the choices, some of the best choices in 10 seconds flat. So if you go to 99.co and you type in a location you want to live, for example, or maybe even your workplace, we can direct you to what are some of the rental options you might have in Singapore in very short time.
Perfect. And how does this compare to the competitors? Like, what would you say that you do that the competitors get wrong, let's say?
I would say it starts with the fundamentals. The fundamental for us is that the search results are sacred to us, which means that our search results can never be bought, and a real estate agent or a landlord can never pay more to get ranked higher in our search algorithm. And our search algorithm is actually based on a number of data points from how high quality the listing is and how authentic it looks like to us as an algorithm, as well as what the user is looking for and whether it would be relevant to the user. So based on those data points, we service the best search results. And I think that's a fundamentally different philosophy that gave much better search results compared to competitors who tend to use a way to basically, the more you pay, the higher you rank. And right. I think that automatically gives basically better results.
Okay. And so it sounds like this is a great solution for consumers. But what's the motivation for agents or brokers to join this then?
Oh, actually, they love it because in the current scheme of things, what happens is that essentially if you buy, so this is actually one of the real estate agents' description to us. So they are being forced to buy a nuclear missile because their competitor bought a new weapon, right? So it's an arms race, and it just get more and more expensive for them. And for us, in terms of our pricing model, it's going to be something that is actually sustainable and healthy. There's not going to be create an arms race between real estate agents. We are experimenting with just a flat monthly subscription model or maybe a per listing model. It's something we're working with the real estate industry to figure out what is the right model, but certainly it will not be an arms race, and certainly our search results would not be purchasable.
And what would you say are your main types of clients?
We are very, very focused. So our clients or our users, in fact, we only focus on rental apartments in Singapore right now. So it's actually a very focused set of customers. And they tend to be, I say, 60% expats and 40% local. Okay. But they really come in all demographics in terms of ages and gender and what devices they use and all those things. They come in all sorts of demographics.
Okay, and so you're concentrating on Singapore right now, just on Singapore, correct?
Yes, and just rental as well.
And just rental as well. And do you have any plans to expand to other markets?
Certainly, we think about it, and I think this same problem actually exists in many other countries, especially in urban cities where the density of apartments and the density of listings as a result is very high. We do think about many cities around the region actually needs a solution. So we will be looking at it, but at least for now, we're very focused on making it right in Singapore.
Okay. And switching gears here a bit, I'd like to talk about your revenue model or your sales structure.
Right.
And how does that work with your website at this moment?
So right now it's completely free. In fact, we have a guaranteed 6-month free for anybody who sign up right now. So up till 30th June in 2015, the service is free. And moving forward, our revenue model will be basically is a traditional model coming out of thinking of it as a marketing fee or advertising fee for real estate agents, mostly, and sometimes direct landlords. And that would be, but the difference is that we're not going to create a model where you can pay more to rank higher, but only focus on a flat fee.
Okay. And I know you just started, but what kind of growth have you been seeing in terms of customers or sales or some sort of metrics?
Yeah, I think over the last 4 months, we have soft launched a version about 4 months ago. And to date, we have, so since then, we have 4 times growth in terms of our inventory. I think that's something that we focused on in the last 4 months. So we've gone from 1,000 agents to now about 4,000 agents on our site, listing about 12,000 properties. I think that's the main thing we have been working on, because for the consumers, we need, even though we might hypothesize to be a better search engine, we still need the contents, the listings, for it to be a meaningful search engine for the users. And I think right now we're at maybe about 50% mark of the market in terms of the inventory coverage. So we're still focusing on that very much. And for the users who have came to our site, I think we measure very much their satisfaction. I think we measure the satisfaction, and a lot of them have actually given us very high ratings in terms of how much they like the product and how much they would recommend it. But they do give us the feedback to say that because our listings are not comprehensive, they would use our site and then also look elsewhere just to make sure they're not missing out.
Okay. And how has anything changed since you received outside investment? Has that changed the way you've been able to do business?
Certainly, I mean, it's allowed us to be more aggressive and more confident in how we build up things. It's allowed us to plan for a fairly significant marketing campaign coming in January, to be able to bring in both the agents as well as the users to use a new way of searching. So I think funding in our case is actually fairly important and quite useful to grow the business.
Okay. And actually, I have a question. I just since you mentioned you're expanding, because here in the U.S., I used to work in the real estate industry years ago, and I know they have what's called the FMLS, where real estate agents pay to have access to the listings and everything that's going on. And that seems like it might be a tough barrier to break, because in a way they have a cartel almost with that.
Yeah.
And I mean, have you been seeing a challenge like that? I don't know how it is in Singapore or other places, but is this something you might have to deal with?
So that's actually, a double-edged sword. In Singapore, because we don't have FMLS or just any form of MLS, and similarly in many Southeast Asian countries where we look to expand. So because we don't have it, there are no rules against what a listing should be and how it should be listed, and how, let's say, an agent with an exclusive listing with a landlord should be protected, which means then chaos then ensue. Anybody can post the listings that could be fake, and there's nobody to care to remove it. And current property portals just benefit from just making agents pay more for it, even though it's fake, and they don't really care. Of course, on the other hand, in the US, you with an MLS, then you come with the problem of cartel, right? Only the big boys who are part of the MLS get to play. Exactly. So this is a double-edged sword. At this moment, Singapore's problem is actually that there isn't an MLS and everything is chaos.
Right. I mean, yeah, it makes sense, and it'll be interesting going ahead.
Yeah.
So at this point, what are the future plans for 99Co then?
I think we want to spend at least 6 months getting the rental market right. I think that's how long it would take for us to figure out how exactly to create the right user experience and to really bring in the inventory. as well as the user growth. And then we will go from there. And we don't really have very concrete plans, but I think the logical expansion would be to handle other segments of the market and other cities in the region as well.
Right. Okay. And do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I mean, thank you for your time, and this has been great chatting with you.
Yeah, and thank you very much for joining me. If people wanted to know more about your company, obviously they can go to 99.co. And is there any other way they can get in touch with the company or learn more about it or you?
Yeah, absolutely. I go to 99.co. That's 99.co. It's actually a very short URL. That's the entire complete URL. Sometimes it surprises that sometimes we actually have to explain that. Yeah, that's the entire URL. 99.co. So go to 99.co, and we are hiring as well. So we'll be very excited to bring on more talent. We're expanding very quickly. And we look forward to chatting with you. And my email is actually Darius@99.co. That's Darius@99.co. I talk to every one of our users as much as I can. So I'll be happy to have a personal chat to understand how I can better serve you.
Perfect. And once again, that's 99.co. We'll have a link in the description, but it's the number 9. You don't have to spell anything out. 99.co. So thank you very much, Darius, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Robert.